Okay, I'm going to review Punisher. Welcome back, Frank. Now, this is a very legendary story, and I think of all Punisher's history. If people ask, I want to start Punisher, what should I read? This is usually the one thing people mention, at least as a starting point. Everything else they mention has the writer Garth Ennis' name attached. This is written by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. I just want to get that out of the way right here. Garth Ennis has essentially taken the Punisher with this and with Max and with the ongoing they did after this, because this is a 12-issue mini, and I've never read it in those trade. There's no way to get that in trade because old trades are out of print, and I'm not going to even bother hunting for that omnibus. Mostly because I have this now, so it seems stupid to have that. I just think owning the same issues in two separate trades is stupid regardless. But that's not even worth mentioning. Now, this is the legendary Welcome Back Frank story. This takes place after they've kind of had they didn't know what to, like, they really kind of ruined the Punisher. And that's kind of a rough thing to say, but they did. The Punisher died in continuity, and he became he became the Spectre. He became this spirit of vengeance who'd fight demons, and from what people tell me, to me it seems like a cool concept, but the thing is, it's the Punisher, and it just doesn't fit that same outlook. So this was essentially the story they did. Like, they wanted to redo it. It was really weird. I mean, they just decided, well, this isn't working anymore, and the whole thing kind of failed miserably. So they decided to reboot, and many people don't say Marvel reboot does reboots. They are like, oh, they never reboot, which is technically bullshit in a way. They may not reboot, but they don't, like, they give up on stuff and change stuff all the time. But that's just, me being very stupid here. This story, the plot is Frank establishes himself as New York City as the Nucci crime, and he's taking on the Nucci crime syndicate, who are big, the big crime family. This is basically him fighting the mob, which is cool. Punisher, he's kind of laying low. He lives in this little small apartment building, and he unintentionally makes friends, loyal friends. Got Joan, who's really afraid. She's a girl who's really afraid. Mr. Bumpo, who could essentially play a New York cop. He looked like one of the guys from Dalbert's segments from SNL. And Spacker Dave, who looks like he has enough piercings to essentially get killed in a metal detector. He knows these people in his apartment. They only know him as Mr. Smith. He kind of keeps a low profile. And throughout this, he's dealing with the Nuccis, and he's killing them off. He deals with Ma Nucci, who there's a scene where she gets attacked because the Punisher lures him into a zoo, and the zoo, has a lot of animals, including polar bears, and the Punisher essentially fed Ma Nucci to polar bears. So she survived, and by survived, she kind of ended up being a quadriplegic with no legs or arms, and she has to wear a wig now to cover up her hair and the giant claw marks. It's funny. This book has like a lot of has dark humor. Garth Ennis is really is well known for injecting dark humor. This is a good example of it. There's another character, Detective Soap. He's on the Catch the Predator case, which, in all honesty, is just pure PR move. So, because the cops don't really want to. And there's one scene that's just weird where he has a partner and he kind of can't take it anymore and commits suicide by hanging himself in his office. which they both share. And the scene it's just so horrible, but it's funny as hell. Well, maybe not funny as hell, but it made me laugh. Was the scene where he goes back in the office after hanging himself. He realizes something. They removed the body, but they kept his tie on the ceiling. It's bad. And while this is happening, there are three, I guess you can say, vigilantes. There's Mr. Payback, who, he has a mask and stuff, and he looks like he stole a mask from a Ninja Turtle, got a gun, and he decided to kind of take on things on his own. And then there's the Elite, who wants to keep things nice and well-rounded in the world. He wears a white suit and mask, and he just shoots people. And then there's the Holy, who is a priest, and he has a uncontrollable urge to murder people who've sinned. And these people kind of have like a subplot to the story. It doesn't matter, mostly because they die at the end of the book because of the Punisher, because they all meet forces and they all want the Punisher to kind of join them in their little gang because they believe they're doing the same thing he's doing, and he'd be perfect. That plan works out in theory, until he shoots you to death. Now, this I heard there was a lot of hype around this, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was great. Garthen is just really good at getting interesting stories, good with crime stories. His humor, his sick humor, kind of keeps it. It keeps it from being depressing, at least depressing to a point where you feel sad. And this is done by his frequent partner, Steve Dillon. Steve Dillon, I love his art, but the thing is, I've only read this and the first 2 volumes of Wolverine Origin, and his art's lightly cartoony, so it's kind of weird, but it works with the Punisher. It doesn't work in Wolverine Origins or stuff where it's superhero related because he draws a lot of similar faces, and he ends up using the same face for a lot of people. And it just seems weird when people are in costume. The Punisher doesn't look weird. The only other costume hero in here is Daredevil, and his scene here is great, where the Punisher ties him to a post, gives him a gun tied to his hand, and it gives Daredevil the chance to shoot him before he could shoot someone. But the gun, but he doesn't. There's no firing pin in the gun, and teaches him. Some life lesson. Read it to find out. But it works here. The story was very. It's definitely worth checking out. I've not read any other Punisher besides at least the new series that started up. That where Frankencastle's taking place. The art's good. I'd have to give this a 9 out of 10. It's just, I don't know why. The story, though, is interesting. It's, a mob story. The subplot's meh, personally, because it just seems like a bunch of gratuitous killing from the other characters. And the thing is, I kind of could tell they could die, because they didn't, I don't know, I highly doubt the Punisher would let these guys live long enough. Well, I definitely wanted to pick up other Punisher stuff. I would suggest you pick this up too. Peace.